Oh, I'm so grateful.
Welcome back to the Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. And if you are starting to shuffle like I am, you're starting to fist pump a little bit, you know what time it is. You're listening to Mother by YG, the Detroit artist and DJ and host of The Boulevard on WDET. We're playing this track not because it's a banger, because it is a banger, but because the Movement Festival happens this weekend and YG is among the performers you'll hear. When was the first time you remember hearing the hyper-futuristic sounds that is techno? Was it when you were watching The Scene, hosted by Nat Morris, and heard Juan Atkins or Jeff Mills for the first time? Unknown to me and so many of my peers, the music we identified as club mixes growing up, that music that rang out of car stereos accompanied by disc jockeys ringing over, had humble foundations right here in Detroit. Movement began in 2000 as a grassroots tribute to Detroit's role in birthing techno. Today, it's grown into a massive event at Hart Plaza with walls of sound pulsing the music of famous artists from across the globe. Yet, it also remains an acknowledgment that Detroit is at the center of it all. The festival has long honored the raw, electrified spirit of the city, where basement beats from the Belleville Three became a global language. Movement isn't just a party. It's a space where sound, struggle, and innovation come together, and where Detroit keeps redefining the future of music. To hear more about this year's event, we have Sam Fotis of Paxahau, the organization that produces the Movement Festival. And just a heads up that WDET will once again be partnering with the Movement Festival this year. So Sam, welcome back to the Metro.
Hey, how are you, Tia?
Hello, and let's get into it. What do you love most about movement?
Oh. In a nutshell, I'd have to say that the most profound thing that I look forward to is after a year's worth of planning and a bunch of stress and headaches and anxiety and problem resolution across all of the facets of the event. That moment when we open the doors on the first day and as the day progresses into the night and welcoming those tens of thousands of people from all over the world and seeing their faces and their body language and their excitement and them meeting up with their friends at the fountain and jumping in excitement and the vibe that just naturally and organically grows throughout that first day as everybody just gets hyped up and it just ramps up. To me, that is the most significant thing, seeing the manifestation, the physical manifestation of that, all that planning being embodied and transferred to those attendees in that type of energy. That's the job well done moment, and providing an aesthetically gratifying across sound, lights, video, site layout, safe environment for them to come and enjoy this music that we are all so proud of and its impact on the world.
So proud of it. Like I spoke before, a lot of us had no idea the techno originates here. So
wow.
When we find out, especially as young people, and we're starting to learn a little bit more, and then to know that we have movement here, that we can actually go access some of the music that we just discovered. Absolutely amazing to think about. But you were a fan of techno before you were a promoter. You were you was in the rave scene. What was it about techno that drew you in?
Well, it's I know we only have a few minutes here, so I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version. When I was a student at Cass Tech, I hate to date myself, but in the late 80s, I graduated in 91. I was really into like alternative and industrial music back then, and just due to the myriad of facets of people that were at Cass Tech, I started seeing flyers and stuff for like the Music Institute and the UN and a lot of these other early clubs that were kind of growing in recognition in the city. And, there was a natural kind of crossover from what I was listening to into techno. And it just struck a chord with me. And then naturally, as I started to like explore into some of these things after I graduated from high school and started going to parties, I was like, just I think it's very comparable to when other genres kind of like started growing in their infancy stage, right? It was new, it was unique, it was so different than other things that were going on. And I feel very privileged, as do the people that I worked with, that we were able to be a part of the beginning of a music genre in its epoch moment as it was growing, to be a part of something like that. The energy, I think, was astounding, and it put its hooks in me, and I haven't been able to escape ever since.
And I'm thinking and hearing you talk about it, seeing the passion in your eyes as you talk about just being a part of something that was so new and so fresh. And I just think about how you've been able to carry that love on into the Movement Festival with your peers and your friends who've also fell in love with it. So can you talk about how you've been able to use movement to spread that joy for the next generations of folks who've coming up and fallen in love with techno?
Well, that's a great question because of the fact that myself and my peers that I work with were part of that very early on part of the scene. There was a guiding set of principles in regards to like what we feel or what the components were at an event that made it so impactful, okay? And we try to integrate those things into a large-scale version for the festival. And it's difficult, because you're talking about something either from trying to transfer it from a nightclub or a warehouse into a 15-acre park with multiple stages and whatever. But I really can tell you that we pay attention to every detail with that lens on it. The attendee experience, the artist experience, all of those things. And it's difficult because Hart Plaza is a very challenging venue. And, but we try to, because that's very important to us, that we utilize the tools and experiences we have from the past to try to influence people while they're here, the significance of how we do things differently than other more commercial festivals across the country, how we do things differently than other underground festivals across the country because of the significance of this city and what it means to everybody.
Once again, every time I go to Movement Festival in any capacity, I'm just blown away by how large it is, but once again, how homey it feels at the same time, because it is a large scale festival that we're attending, but it does feel so Detroit, so just gritty still. I know you just talked about it, but it's just it's hard to explain it unless you go to Movement.
Yeah.
So how do you create that gritty basement still feel, that vibe that we still have? Yeah, it's in this beautiful landscape of Hart Plaza. We're looking at the Detroit River, and it's just such an amazing vibe that's created. So if you could just a little bit more go into how you create that, that underground feeling.
Well, I think a large portion of it has to do with the venue. Hart Plaza is incredible and incredibly special. I mean, right downtown, surrounded by buildings on the Detroit River, designed by Isamu Noguchi. It's the only, municipal park in the world that he designed. And, the design of the park in itself is techno. You know what I mean? It's like retro future, hardscape, metal, cement, granite block. I mean, there's not a parallel line in the place, So that is, I think, the origination point, right? I think just the general vibe of it, the structures and sculptures that are there, that lends itself very well to it. And then the other thing is we don't create these stages that have these weird facades and prosceniums on them and things like that. Like we're not about like, oh, look at this like crazy stage with faces and whatever on it. You know, it's like the stages are a very utilitarian tool in order for us to another point, put the most technically advanced sound systems on them that we can. Okay. Again, borrowing from another facet from the underground days in Detroit, like where it was more important to have a dark room with very little lights and have a big sound system. Okay. So for us, the stages are there mainly to support the sound systems because it's a music festival. It's techno. The sound is the most important facet, okay? And we want attendees to have, when you deliver on the sound, it is a visceral experience. You're seeing things and you're experiencing things, but the full range sonic deliverance in a clear, undistorted manner, in a very loud manner to where you can feel it from the front to the back, that creates that visceral experience where you're like, wow, like, holy moly. And so that is, I think, in a nutshell, what you're getting at.
Yes, thank you. I think you explained it beautifully for listeners. I mean, once again, that sound, it comes and rushes over you. It goes through you, and it's electric. And it's a feeling, once again, that I hope most, if not all, people feel when they do attend Movement Festival. We are talking about Movement Festival right now on the Metro, which is this weekend. Our guest is Sam Fotis of Paxahau, the organization producing the festival. Now, while we still have you here, you have some of the biggest names and DJ and techno and EDM that are going to be joining us. And one of the names that stood out immediately to me was Zach Fox, who was added to the lineup as well, who recently started to DJ, and he's really started to create a name for himself within the space. But talk about some of the bigger names that you're able to attract to Movement.
Well, you know, it's interesting. So, you know, this year we're very honored and humbled to have Jeff Mills joining us for a very special show. He's played for us in the past, but, you know, Jeff is one of those legacy names that, you know, he picks and chooses who he wants to play for. And whenever he comes to us, you know, or we have the fortune of working with him, it's incredible, you know, and I think people are really going to love the show that he's put together. You know, another special one is we've got Carl Craig and Moody Man and Mike Banks joining forces together, and that's going to be amazing. You know, we've got the Carl Craig Detroit Love. We've got, you know, Kevin doing his thing, Jamie XX, you know, coming. And, you know, another one is, you know, John Summit, who, you know, there's an interesting thing there is he used to come to the festival as a fan. And now, you know, he's closing the last night on the main stage. And I think to your point in regards to, you know, some of these crossover names that come, you know, like Sonny Skrillex has come and played for us and whatever, but like these people that have come to our event as fans and their career arc, you know, just goes stratospheric, you know what I mean? But at a point, they all come to us and say, we want to play Movement. All right, because it doesn't matter if they're selling out Madison Square Garden or playing on the big stage at EDC or whatever, they still see our independently owned festival in Detroit where the music was created as their, you know, like they know that it doesn't matter where else they can play. If they can play here and still pull it off, it's like it means a lot to them. You know what I mean? And it means a lot to us, too, because they actually get scared, you know, which is interesting, you know. And so, you know, that I think that, you know, there's always a little bit of banter online when, like, we have some of these crossover acts that come and play. And that's fine, you know, but I think people should see it as, you know, our city and this genre has had such a profound impact on so many lives creatively, around the world, that people should be honored when these acts want to come and play for us, and hold them to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
I love to hear that, because we hear so many different genres and sectors within the creative world here in the city of Detroit, and how, if you can come here in comedy and get Detroit to laugh, you're doing something. If you can come here and perform in front of a Detroit audience and they clap and don't boo you, you're doing something. So Detroit is a very, very hard audience to captivate. So if you can do that on a large stage like Movement, like you said, there's some validation there. There's some validation. But I do want to talk about some of the local acts that are there as well, because for us, we love to talk about some of the local acts. One of my favorites performing this year, Black Moonchild.
Oh, yeah.
Young, hot. A techno DJ right now. I love how hard hitting her sounds are. And then there are so many others like AK. There are just so many other young artists. So can we talk about the young local
I
DJs?
think we would be remiss if we didn't, and I hate to call it the local stage, because I feel that's a, our Detroit stage is something that is incredibly significant to us. And to play into the theme of everything else that we've been talking about here, we're celebrating a music, a genre that was created in the city where it was created, and that alone sets Movement apart from any other festival in the country, right? The fact that we have this opportunity with all of those other things to recognize and lift up our local talent and provide a platform for them to be exposed to people from all over the world. That is something that we feel is our duty and our responsibility. We're doing 80 to 90 shows a year in the city, and we have the opportunity to see this burgeoning and bubbling up talent. We're very excited about the relationship that we have with the Underground Music Academy and all of them over there. There's a showcase that we have this year. That's something that we're incredibly excited about. And, to be able to provide this platform and this conduit is something that is so amazing to us, and we're very excited about it. And, I always love standing, because the Detroit stage is right outside my compound. I love standing there throughout the day and hearing, because there's such a broad spectrum of music that's presented, which is, again, incredible, because it's not like just Detroit techno all day long. Like, there's all these facets of, breakbeats and experimental and house and techno and stuff. So I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's my favorite time of the year.
Yes.
It's right at, my birthday month is May as well. So this all comes together.
Mine's June
beautifully.
1st.
So it's beautiful. It's beautiful
great.
timing. So I love this month so very much. And, before I do let you go, anything people should know about Movement Festival this weekend?
I mean, come down and have a great time. And if you're not coming down and you live downtown, sorry about the noise, but it'll be over on Monday.
I live near downtown right now, and I'm telling you, traffic is going to be something. So be prepared,
Yes.
you all. Be prepared.
Absolutely.
Sam Fotis of Paxahau, which produces the Movement Festival happening this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us on the Metro. You will see us around you will see me around for sure
Awesome.
somewhere.
Thank you, Tia.
Thank you. Coming up, the 2025 WNBA season is here, and the league is expanding. Nate Bender, our board operator right now, is playing his music underneath. Really has me swaying. So thank you, Nate, for that. Stay right there. This is the Metro. We'll be right back.